I've had, you know, a lot of adventure. The experiences, the people I've met, the relationships you have with other people, that's what makes life interesting and worthwhile. And I particularly have had an interesting life. And I'm thankful for it.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing.
That's quite a collection of pictures there.
Want to take a cigarette?
What am I doing? Smoking a cigarette.
And riding on a motorcycle, too.
On a motorcycle.
And look at this, the weightlifter here. You were pretty strong there.
Right.
There you are in Hawaii with the sugar cane, cutting the
With
sugar cane.
Paul Freeman and one of the natives.
Yeah.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's where I was born and raised. I didn't mind it.
But I thought you tried to escape out of there when you were with Paul. You guys had...
Yeah, I preferred Hawaii
Still,
when it comes to climate. Ordinary folks, my father, he earned his living driving trucks. He owned them. He bought trucks that were World War I relics that he got for $20-some or something to purchase, but it was gave him a livelihood. Because they came in different sizes. He adapted them to being a nice truck, for instance. He was a good-natured guy, my father. And he got along well with people. I've always felt, in spite of the negative side of not having much money, I was lucky to have a good mother who was very conscientious about bringing up her children.
Baby brother John. He's 19 years younger than you. And he put on his uniform and his younger brother would salute him as a 4-year-old. There's even a picture, I think, somewhere of that. That's his favorite picture.
That makes it a somewhat unique relationship. The grandparent that had most influence on me was my mother's father, who came over when he was 18 years old from England and who lived with us. He worked on the railroad in Minnesota, and he read books, so he was an interesting person, sense of what he was interested in as a result of reading
And he would say, "Keep your chin up." Do you remember him saying that?
Yeah, I guess that was an expression of his. I was driving at 10.
Jeez.
And I drove, all day. I actually driving ice truck, delivering ice in the alleyways. In those days, yeah.
How could you even reach the pedals? You'd be so little.
You're right. It's about all I could do is reach the pedals. The fellow he hired, he could shift, yeah. That's one reason I had to do the driving part. He was a healthy adult, and I learned to do it, to copy my dad just the way he did. I was sensitive to how he did it, at what speed. So I was driving quite well at the age of 10. All day long, Though I guess I took the driving seriously because it was a privilege at 10 to be driving a 1.5-ton vehicle. And I knew the customers, where I knew where to stop. I used to take and deliver some of the 25-pound deliveries. I could handle those and actually deposit them in a home.
What did you like to do for fun, though, when you were a kid?
Oh, I used to go swimming, and, skating in the winter.
We meet and the angels sing.
I met Arlene through my best friend, Bob Boudure. He was dating Eleanor Casey, who lived the same apartment house, I think, as Arlene. He'd go over to visit her, and he could smooch with Arlene on a date, so he decided to take me along on a date, to take her off his hands. And that's how I met Arlene.
Just by taking her off his hands? That's how you met her, huh?
That is the reason. I do remember that.
You were the extra smoocher, is what you're saying.
I was an extra
smoocher.
Yeah. But
an extra set of lips.
Yeah. He had to bring me along to get Arlene off his hands. My father had nothing but trucks. so normally you take your father's car,
Oh, yeah.
on a date. But with me, it would have been a truck. All that ashes and rubbish or something during the day.
Oh, not romantic.
There was no vehicle to go on a date, to take a truck. Oh, man. Weightlifting, gymnastics, and mostly the tumbling. I could do back handsprings, back somersaults, and with a twist, front flips, and a handspring, and then a front flip. And then I was pretty good at tumbling, principally. It's what I liked the most. I did some weightlifting as a teenager.
Do you remember how many pounds you used to lift?
Yeah, I remember 250 was the clean jerk.
Yeah.
And about 200 on the snatch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one pull, the overhead, and about 200 press,
Military press.
Which is pretty good, by the way, the total.
Yeah.
For weightlifting.
Yeah, he won the contest. Where is it? Oahu?
Oahu.
Weightlifting contest.
Oh, really?
Not Oahu.
Yeah.
You won the weightlifting?
The heavyweight
Yeah.
at one time I wasn't that much of a heavyweight. I weighed around 190 pounds, I guess. That qualified me for that weight now.
He was an Olympic skater, and he had fancy skates, and you were on a date with our
Oh,
lead.
he's one of the guys I had.
Another one. Only had 2 fights.
Yeah, he was a skater.
Mm-hmm.
And Olympic, I guess.
Yeah.
So he was a good skater, and
He provoked you. He made fun of
Yeah.
you and provoked you, remember?
yeah, and I hit him once, and that was all it took.
Don't mess with Dick, huh?
Yeah.
But you're...
I guess I never liked fighting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's not the type...
It
Not
wasn't
a
my
fighter.
peaceful
nature.
guy. Yeah, they had to be pretty bad because you're a pretty easygoing guy.
Gee, I don't know. But hitchhiking to get to California, of course, is the first. From California to get to Hawaii is when I had to get a stowaway on an Army freighter, the Bigs. That was the only way I could see, since I had no money really at the time.
You only-
Yeah.
You told me you only had $23 in your pocket when you left Minnesota.
Yeah, that's about right. And that wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough to really handicap you. I guess just working in the kitchen and doing dishes, for instance, for the crew, would be something that was needed. In the way of a simple activity that you could have somebody work to in return for their passage, in view of not having the money to pay for the crew. But I do remember getting sentenced to jail for stowing away on it. It is a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a lot to remember, huh?
I was just thinking, I'm 93 now. I was about, what, 16 then, or something like that. When I stowed away as a teenager.
You worked in Maui, you worked for Pioneer Mill.
Yeah,
Remember, didn't you
Yeah,
cut?
Pioneer Mill's a
Sugar cane?
company.
that was, that's simple labor. Yeah, it was cutting
Cutting cane.
cutting sugar cane. Yeah, that's an example. That's
Just leave it
Paul
off, Karen.
and me,
Yeah.
and this other fellow was a native. All I can remember is that I had some misgivings with some guy
Maui. Maui.
on Maui. Yeah.
Wasn't it a boss?
Mm-hmm.
He was a boss, yeah, in Maui.
Remember, he was very mean to the workers, the Filipino workers. He used to shove them and push them. The boss. Do you remember that? Then he shoved you.
And I challenged him on it.
Mm-hmm. It was right before the war.
And anyhow, they provoked me, and I hit him once in the jaw, and that was it. He didn't want any more. So, and I heard the title, One Punch Bentley.
Because all the workers started cheering because he'd been mean to them.
They were like
glad
slaves.
that he got
They were
back.
slaves. Yeah.
Yeah,
He went back years later, remember, with your family.
Yeah.
And he was a legend in Maui.
that's where
You know
The One
Miyagi's
Punch Bentley.
in Lahaina, the Miyagi,
Stuck.
the pharmacy there.
It's stuck,
We
huh?
went in there to, oh, Dick Bentley. She remembered after all the years.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
remembered that story.
He hit the guy, and he's a mild man. But the guy shoved him right before the war. He knew he was leaving. And he knocked the guy out. He cut him across the face. They thought he was first dead because he hit him so hard. And then he was okay. And then they were patting him, and he was a legend because he was basically was like slave labor. That's so that you were a hero in Maui.
yeah, yes.
Minnesota
At any rate, they didn't pick on me.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They respected me.
So were you there when Pearl Harbor got bombed, Dad? Thought you told me that you were there when Pearl Harbor got bombed. You were a civilian.
I guess so.
You would have been there, but remember you said it was a Sunday and you were partying with some friends from Minnesota that night.
Hitting the bars. Came home and Sunday morning, everything was, he heard sirens, there was a curfew, you couldn't go out. He saw the planes go overhead, he saw the numbers on the planes, the Japanese bomb planes. But this is as a civilian, you know. So soon after that, he considered, you know, because he was a high school dropout, by the way, too. He was a high school dropout. But then he decided, you know, get that high school equivalency in San Francisco, and then he was signing up to get trained as a pilot. He wanted to be a pilot. So you know more of those details, the military stuff.
Okay.
But you know, basically, he then was a pilot, a B-17 pilot.
We had to fly 50. That was our tour of duty, yeah. I had bailed out. Then I've just did a parachute. And I landed a couple miles offshore.
Correct. Yep.
And I swam. And I made it to shore.
Wow.
On the island.
Wow.
And the pilot's name, McIntyre.
Oh yeah.
McIntyre.
Vincent J. McIntyre.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's coming through.
The tail gunner,
Tucker.
Tucker. Very good. Very.
Shortly after I was picked up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Mussolini." What a kind of a
That's good.
kind of a his,
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
his neck.
Yeah.
Not like Lift 3. That was a prison camp for air personnel.
Mm-hmm.
The Luft is air and 3. No, it's I never had that feeling really that that I was in danger of physical. They were gonna beat me or physically. I always felt that if you're captured, you know, you're in their hands, literally, and they'd have nothing to gain, really, to beat you up. Rather than treating you decently and getting information out of you, but more what they would be inclined to do as a duty to interview you. But even that's done pretty formally. No, I don't recall in my memories of it, of being tortured in some way as a prisoner.
Did you try to escape ever?
Yeah, you always, it depends on where you are and the circumstances. Sometimes escape would be a worse situation. I mean, where you are, you're maybe fed, and and you're not in danger at all, other than you're confined. And you feel fortunate that they're treating you decently according to the Geneva Convention. War is war. You have to expect the worst. You never feel sorry for yourself because there's so many people involved in the same as you are. You know, you just feel fortunate that you're getting fed, for instance, and they're not actually beating you up in some way. Well, all I can think of is I worked for Hughes Aircraft.
You worked on some rockets like the Falcon and then satellites,
Yeah,
communication satellites. Was it Syncom and Early Bird?
yeah, I was fortunate in being in the right place at the right time, you know, to capitalize on it.
Thing like you told me is that they were synchronous satellites. Synchronous satellites.
Yeah, and what that meant is they were in a circular orbit around the Earth in essentially above the equator. The fact that they were sometimes above the equator and below the equator didn't make so much difference. The early bird is out 32,000 miles or something. It was a long ways, but that's not too far for the speed of light. And that's what Hughes Aircraft built. And I was a project manager of it. It's a satellite that is designed to rotate with its signal going out in a plane around the equator, essentially. It's a little above and below the equator, but that meant that while the satellite was moving, it essentially was always sending this signal it received from the Earth and relaying back whatever it is. That's why it made it a global satellite, in the sense that it was out 22,000 miles, but it would pick up the signal from the Earth and it would relay it back in the same plane, basically, the equatorial plane around the Earth. It's a real advantage communication-wise, because it's television, it's military, everything that
Military
using this type of early bird there. Yeah.
That really started the global communications, huh, Dad?
That's right.
Changed the world.
We introduced global communication.
You and Mom went to Europe and you set up the meeting with the Europeans to make these first calls by satellite across the Atlantic Ocean. That's what that picture is. So you're right there.
Yeah.
They're interviewing
Right.
you.
Yeah, it was an important event to are able to communicate virtually now anywhere in the world.
Did you work with the military with that satellite too?
Oh yeah, the military was very eager to get a system. A lot of the development was done for the military, and it also that applies to the civilian or non-military. Right.
I remember you worked on top secret work and you couldn't tell us what you did at work.
Well,
Because
that's
it was-
what we were doing.
The
This-
secret's out.
Communications satellite work for the military, both Army and Navy, and well, it always made it interesting work to be working on something that's applied, that is applied to the whole world, to the whole service, like the Navy or the Army.
So you're a pioneer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was, I guess.
He had a bar in his office. They would have 2 martinis for lunch. I mean, I would pass out after that. I don't even know how he did deals with NASA with 2 martini lunches.
We had 2 martinis pretty much every day.
So
Those were the days.
tell us about the work you
Yeah.
you guys had fun.
Fun at work.
Yep.
North
Yeah.
American. A lot of engineers were your friends.
It allowed to have the security, you know, of a job with respect, earning enough money that I could supply them with the essentials growing up. Right now it's 11:15. I don't know what that means, except it's normally lunchtime, isn't it?
Getting hungry, huh?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
But you like to be aware of the time, don't you, Dad? You like checking the time and numbers. I bet Mom was missing you back home then all that time that you were
Oh yeah, it was,
Arlene.
it's
Back in
hard
Holland.
on a wife
Yeah.
to have a husband be a prisoner.
Especially Mom, Arlene, back in Hollywood, waiting for you for 2 years. That must have been hard for her.
Yeah, you're right.
You guys were separated for a while because you were in Maui and she was in Hollywood, Minnesota, then Hollywood, and you were separated for a lot of years after you dated. But then you told me that you decided to marry Mom and you sent her a letter to get together and get married after all those years. Right after she married you, she was waiting and waiting for you to come back from the war.
Well, it lasted. We were married a long time. 62 years.
I never felt magic crazy as this. I never saw moons, knew the meaning of the sea. I never held emotion upon.
No, we were pretty compatible, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But now you're here.
Yeah, I felt fortunate. I never could fault her on anything
Been a long time that I'm waiting.
as a wife. We would be very compatible.
Yeah, you like to do the same kinds of things, right? Camping and
Yeah, and then raising 3 children,
yeah.
and they've all turned out well. She's a good mother. That was a big factor too, of course, in our compatibility.
We had a good time growing up on Villa Vista,
Right.
didn't we? We used to call it Camelot, right? With all the neighbors.
Right.
Had block parties and things. That was a good place to grow up.
All you 3 kids all had a good life growing up
Oh, I
as,
definitely feel
as
like
children.
We,
They got along well with each other, and
you guys were great parents to us. You and Mom were great mom
yeah,
and
I
dad.
think we did well with taking you places, and
Taking us on camping trips and
yeah,
all over the West. Sailing.
Right.
We used to go sailing a lot.
yeah,
We really appreciate you spent a lot of time with us as a father.
yeah, I
I feel
guess
lucky
so.
that you spent a lot of time with us, even though you had a job where you had a lot of work and responsibility, you always still spent a lot of time with the family. So we appreciate that. We feel lucky.
And we're still having a good time together.
We still are, aren't we?
But now you're here, bright in my northern sky.
Remember that, Dick? You did a backflip with Paul Freeman when you were 60 on your 65th birthday.
There's no limits, right?
And you pulled a muscle. And Arlene was very mad at you. You had a couple beers and you said you could still do a backflip. Do you remember that? You did that at age 65.
65?
Yep. And Arlene, and you were supposed to be on vacation for 2 weeks and you had a terrible pulled muscle.
Yeah, I must have enjoyed. Well, you're here with a purpose with your camera.
Right.
Are we doing all right?
You're doing great. You're doing really good. The experience in the war was quite dramatic in itself.
Yeah, that's something too, to survive a war, you know.
What did you learn from that?
I guess play it safe so you live a little while. Don't. Life is worthwhile, so don't throw it away. Enjoy it. Hang on to as much to it as you can.
Tell me what you've learned about life. What do you want your kids and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to know about life? What's the most important thing?
Well, I guess I would want them to be well educated, to take advantage of what life holds for them. If they do have a reasonable education, the quantity of that opens the door to a good life for them. The books they can read and all, and the advantages they could have, the benefits they can pass on to their children, all comes from education. So that's an important part of a good life, is education. And I think my grandfathers did take advantage of things, and received the benefits of it. One thing that helped me, I think, having good parents, and particularly my mother, who were open-minded in bringing me up and giving me a good education by encouragement. I feel happy and satisfied with the relationship being friendly. That's one of the worthwhile things in your life is to have children that have children of their own, and they live a good life. You feel that you're a part of it. I can't imagine life without the family and the relationships. That's what's good. That's what's worthwhile, really. The things you do, and that's your relationships within your family, and also the relationships you have in the work that you do. That's what makes life worthwhile, is the interest you have with other people. I've enjoyed all 93 years of mine. I'm surprised that I think that I'm that old. 93, jeez. Yeah. I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying my age and the experience, sharing. It's been interesting chatting and reviewing things with you. Sharing old age with you. That's what it's like. I feel happy with what I've had and what I still have. Or if I only live another 2 months, I've had a good life. Look at that there, see.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the star, it's near beyond the moon. I know beyond a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just as before. Happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again I'll go sailing.